What is up? Welcome back. 2023-2024 NBA season previews. I am Matt. I'm here with Jiarmani, man. What's going on?
Hey, man. I mean, just got finished talking about the Kings. Got the Wizards now. And to be honest, I'm
Spoiler.
actually yeah, spoiler for sure. But I will say I'm actually no matter what anybody thinks about this Wizards team, I'm actually very excited to talk about this team. I feel like there's a lot of talking points, and I feel like I won't even say I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for like the individuals on this team more than the team like as a collective unit right now. But yeah, definitely things are going good. You got the NBA season starting up in a few days, Um, so yeah, let's talk some Wizards basketball.
What happened this offseason? It definitely was not nothing. Let's just put it
Yeah.
that way.
What didn't happen should be the real question, is because
It,
you look, right? You see they traded Porzingis, they traded Bradley Beal. Well, Porzingis to the Celtics, which I'm happy about. They traded Beal to the Suns to hey. Just because you guys didn't get Dame, you guys can't shit on my parade, all right?
hey. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. But Porzingis to the Celtics, Beal to the Suns, and then what else was there? They got themselves a
Monty
lot of guys
Morris.
back. What's up?
Monty Morris traded to the
Yeah,
Pistons.
Monty Morris. They got Tyus Jones from the Grizzlies, and they got a couple of pieces to build for the future. They extended Kyle Kuzma. Out on a pretty good contract. I think this guy was looking for like 30 million a year, and they got him for like 120 million dollars over like the next 3 or 4 years. But I feel like I may be wrong in terms of financials, but I think that's a pretty good contract just in case they were ever looking to move him. Obviously, I said as much in the power rankings. But either way, I think extending Kuzma was a smart idea. But yeah, definitely they went full into the rebuild mode. So like I feel like it was the best decision for the Wizards.
Yeah, it was. It felt like a couple years too late for the Bradley Beal thing, and that was kind of
Absolutely.
like the start of it. And because it was like they signed him to that extension last offseason, and then you were just like, wait, why exactly are they signing this extension? But then it's like not, I don't want to say typical NBA superstar thing or star thing, but there have been examples of guys who just sign the bag and then a year or two when they can just ask out.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't want to say like I think it was best for both sides at that point because we knew with years and years of evidence that they just weren't really going anywhere post John Wall because like that was the last time they were like really competitive. And that was like 2017, 2018. Like they had a punch. They fought a little bit with when Russ was there that one year. And they were a little bit frisky in the second half of that season, but ultimately lost in the first round. I believe they lost. I think they lost in the first round to Philly, but
Probably.
like it wasn't like you didn't think they were like a top 6 team, top 5 team in the East, and they haven't been that each of the last couple of years. They went 35-47 last year, 22nd in offense, 21st in defense. They did they kind of ended that partnership, and that was just kind of like the start of it. I mean, I guess the technicals was what I can't remember which trade was first. Was the Porzingis trade or was it the Beal trade? I
It
want
was
to say
it was the Porzingis trade.
it was the Porzingis. Was it
Yeah,
the
it was
Porzingis
definitely
trade?
yeah, it was definitely the Porzingis trade.
I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter. Like either way,
It like
they're
to your
they
point.
they, they picked a direction.
Yeah, to your point though, the Bill trade should have been far before any Porzingis trade would have.
Right.
But like I would want to ask you this, like, do you like because I feel like everybody would just agree that the Wizards shot themselves in the foot, allowing Bradley Beal to get a no trade clause in his contract. But
Yeah.
even with that, him signing that extension, I think he signed an extension what last offseason or
Yeah.
the season before. Either way, I feel like as soon as you traded Russell Westbrook, you should have traded Bradley Beal, as like pretty much right after. Regardless, I feel like they were too like they put too much personal emotions into it with Beal saying he didn't want to leave, then he wanted to leave, didn't want to leave, that whole back and forth. I feel like if you look at it as a business, they should have just shipped him off to the team that was willing to shell out the most for him.
I mean, yeah, that wouldn't have been terrible timing for them if they were to have done that there. I can't believe he leveraged a no trade clause.
Hey,
I think
good
that's
for
probably the
him and his
last we're going to
agent.
see. I think that's the last we're going to see of a no trade clause for any big star for a while, just because of how that unfolded. Um, where do you think now with their new pieces again? Like you kind of mentioned it, they got Jordan Poole. They got who else did they get?
It was
I
Tyus
mean,
Jones.
they got Tyus Jones. They drafted Koulibaly, who was Victor Wembanyama's teammate overseas, kind of like this incredibly long, athletic, raw prospect. They re-signed Kyle Kuzma. Uh, they signed Taj or re-signed Taj Gibson. Excuse me. But like they have a collection of like young guys now. Where do you kind of see this going? I mean, you said you're excited to watch them, even though they're probably going to be bad. But like, where exactly? What exactly do you think they'll do this season in terms of like? Do you think they're going to win 20 games, 30 games? Like, where's your head at with them?
Yeah. That's a good thing to ask because I'm looking at it. They won 35 games with Bradley Beal, I believe, like being like in and out of the line. I don't know how many games he played last year, but in all honesty, you had Kyle Kuzma start to come into his own. He was a 20-point per game scorer, and then I feel like Tyus Jones is probably going to be the biggest riser out of what anybody thinks.
Right.
Like everybody was referring to him as one of the best backup point guards in the league. Now that he kind of has the keys to be able to have be able to move with the ball a lot more and get some more playing time. He's probably going to be a big riser for me. So I think that would be somebody to look at because we all know like people are expecting Jordan Poole to have the green light and this dude is going to average like 25 points a game just on taking like just all the shots with him and Kuzma and the rest of those guys. But yeah, I look at Tyus Jones. He's gonna be he's really good. I feel like he's gonna come into his own this season, be a very very solid point guard. And then Jordan Poole, I feel like Jordan Poole is gonna kind of I won't say I don't compare him to Bradley Beal, but I think he's gonna put up some sort of level of production. If if everything goes good in the best case scenario, he's putting up like 20, 25 points a game. So I feel they may drop a little bit because they were a 35 win team.
Yeah.
I think they may be. I don't think they're going to drop to like 25. I think they may get around to 30 wins, maybe. I would say that that'll be my bold prediction for this Wizards team. They'll win 30 games. People will be saying this is going to be like the most fun 19 win season ever, But I think they can win 30 games, especially if Kuzma and Poole like take another step forward because that's their duo for the time being until like some of these young guys start to develop a little bit. But yeah, I would say these guys are going to be a 30 win team.
They did lose one of their anchors defensively in Porzingis, who is coming off a career year there, and perhaps one of the healthiest seasons he's had in his career. And so that obviously takes a hit to them defensively, at least on the interior, and it's like the center is like one of the most important defensive positions, just because of it revolves around what you do schematically. But they still have Daniel Gafford, who is one of the better shot blockers in the league, even though he is like 6'9", 6'10". He's always been a good hub around the rim defensively as like a rim protector, and then as a guy who is like a vertical spacer and a guy who's a good lob threat and a good rolling threat. And so that's something good for Tyus Jones, who Tyus Jones we saw with Memphis. He was just a very stable orchestrator, and like he was a guy who like he was very good at orchestrating an offense. He didn't turn over the ball. He was incredibly smart with the reads and stuff that he would make. Especially when Ja wasn't on the floor, it felt like there were times where they looked even better. Not to say that he's better than Ja Morant because he's not, but it just felt like there was a better flow, and so maybe they can kind of get that out. Like I thought that was one of the more underrated like acquisitions in terms of like that Kristaps Porzingis 3-team trade we were talking about. Kristaps to Boston, Marcus Smart to Memphis. Well, they also just got Tyus Jones. Not to say that's gonna like it's worth like 3, 4, 5 wins, but it's definitely an important piece that you want to have on a young roster who needs a veteran presence. And he is one of those guys who can be a veteran presence. A couple other guys like Corey Kispert, I think, had a better season last year as a shooter. He definitely improved his efficiency from deep, even though he got out to a rocky start early in his career, and I think he improved. Denny Advia, I can never say his name.
Advia or Advia, I don't know. It's
I'm yeah. but he's another guy who's just solid defensively, and he I think he's improved really every year of his career up to this point. So like they have like a couple guys that they're working around here, and like but again the biggest sticking point, like yeah, Jordan Poole is going to be getting up shots. Kuzma is going to be getting up shots, and I think Kuzma's become a little bit underrated, even though that contract that he signed, like I thought people had that evaluation of him before, but then like he signs that contract and he gets kind of slammed for it. Good job for getting your back though. That's what I'm going to say. But like the biggest thing that this team's gonna like, they're just not good defensively, and like that's the thing that's gonna really, I don't want to say bug me about, like DeLon Wright's good. Again, I mentioned like Advia's good. Gafford's a solid defender, but like just their team defensive structure. I mean, Tyus Jones is good, but like I still don't think this team's gonna be like a top 20 defense. And I don't know what their offensive ceiling looks like, especially on nights when they're just not efficient at all. And so like I honestly see this team around 25 wins. Like I just don't I don't like, so I mean and part of that's the math of just how this works. It's like there has to be a few teams that have to be like really really bad, even if they are like fun teams with not terrible rosters. Like another guy who can help them defensively is Koulibaly, but I don't know, considering how raw of a prospect he is, I don't know exactly what his role is going to be on this team yet. I don't have a great feel for that as of right now, but he could definitely be someone maybe late in the season, February, March, to come and again provide 10 to 15 minutes just of spark off the bench, or if there's any additional injuries that happen, he can definitely impact it there. And so like they have a few solid individual defenders, but like no one that really stands out. I think their offense is going to be like they're probably going to be a top 20, 15. Like they're gonna have some nights where Jordan Poole puts up 35, Kuzma has 20 and 10, maybe Gallinari lights it up. We didn't even mention him. Danilo Gallinari maybe lights it up. Maybe whomever lights it up, but like they're gonna have nights where they score 130 points, but they also might have nights where they score 130 and they give up 135, 140, or they're just not efficient. They can't find a bucket, and it completely craters for them on the defensive end. Like I think there's going to be more nights like the latter two than not, because I don't love this defense really that much at all right now.
Yeah.
There's still time to improve it. I don't know what will happen with this team at the deadline if they decide to even sell off more pieces. Like if some team is calling for like, hey, Kyle Kuzma, like even though he just signed this big contract, we still have 3 years, and it's I think a front loaded contract, and so it's easier to trade towards the back end of it. Like maybe a team's calling for him. Maybe a team does call for Daniel Gafford. Maybe I don't know exactly what their contract situation looks like, but maybe they even sell off more at the deadline. I don't know.
Yeah, I think like the only guy on that team that is probably considered untradeable at the moment may just be Jordan Poole, and that's just because of I think like the ceiling that everybody is anticipating him to have now that he's no longer in Golden State, and he kind of is going to be more of the focal point of the offense next to Kuzma. But yeah, I can definitely see them being a little bit active around the trade deadline. Probably get like they're probably hoping that Danilo Gallinari has himself a resurgent season after pretty much redshirting the whole year with Boston with the ACL injury he had in the was it the World Cup or was it FIBA, or unless it's the same thing. But I think they'll probably look to move maybe some of the older guys that can probably want to be on to play for playoff bound teams and whatnot. But no, but yeah, so like definitely this offseason is, I feel like it's definitely something that I feel Wizards fans will probably get accustomed to, seeing guys getting moved. Probably not in the not as drastic as moving some of your best players now, but yeah, I guess like how they'll probably evaluate how the season and I guess even the next couple of seasons, because just because since you extend Kuzma doesn't mean that dude's gonna spend the entirety of the contract in a Wizards uniform, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely will just see that Jordan Poole is going to be just like the future of this Wizards team, whether he's the focal point for the next 4 or 5 years, or they manage to start building up other guys or swing a trade or anything like that. But yeah, I feel like they made themselves some good offseason moves to kind of buy into that rebuild and get out of the Bradley Beal money and trading off Porzingis after he had himself his best season. So from what we anticipated, the Wizards were going to be aiming towards when it came to trying to trade Bradley Beal, to now seeing how the trades and everything worked out for him, I feel like it worked out very well for the Wizards with all the stuff that they got compared to now that, he signed the no trade clause. Now the team can get him for pennies on the dollar if he doesn't want to go anywhere else, So they have some pieces to look forward to. I'll say that.
I mean, they did get like a collection of picks and not a whole lot for Beal, in all fairness. I mean, yeah. I still also find it funny. Like, this is like kind of an unrelated side topic, but like how two teams agreed to swap Chris Paul and Jordan Poole at this stage of their careers. One being on the complete opposite of the other, which, I mean, that also, I guess, might just speak to how how that situation unfolded in Golden State last year with the Draymond Green thing, and like they were really just desperate to get off of Jordan Poole. But that's a different discussion for a different day. Just looking at it right here, Tyus Jones is on an expiring contract, $14 million a year. That's going to be something that's going to get moved. Like I'll just say that right now. I think there's like at least a 60 to 70% chance he's on another team come February. DeLon Wright on an expiring contract. The team's going to look at him as like a defender, a guy who can impact off the bench on both ends of the floor. Danilo Gallinari is on an expiring. Advia, I don't think they're going to trade him. He's extension eligible right now, but he's entering the last year of his deal. He'll be a restricted free agent next season. I don't think he gets moved. Gafford has 3 years and $40 million left on his contract. Landry Shamet has 2 years, one being a non-guaranteed year. Actually, no, 3 years. One being a non-guaranteed year next season, but then a team option the year after that for around 11 million. And so, like, they have guys who are on tradable contracts that you can flip this year at the deadline for even more picks. We know second round picks all of a sudden have just become like the common currency for these types of trades. So maybe they get a bunch of those. Yeah. Jake Crowder went for 5, so I don't know how much Tyus Jones is going to go for. But so like maybe they can get something more, just like draft capital wise, player wise, maybe like 1 or 2 other like young assets who they're buying low on. I don't know, but they have guys that they can flip for even more. So that's why I kind of see this as like a 20 to 25 win team. It might be even lower than that just based on how they are defensively, but I guess we'll see. What do you think? Yes.
I think, definitely just look like there's not a lot to be hopeful for this Wizards team. Just hope that Jordan Poole lives up to everything, lives up to the hype that's been building since he got traded from Golden State. My opinion, that a whole situation for like the whole trade with swapping a 36-year-old Chris Paul for
he's like 38.
Hold on, I'm tripping. I think at 35. That was probably when he got to the damn Sun.
Am I wrong? I think he's 38 or 37.
You may be right.
Either way, it's semantics.
Yeah. And I'm curious. I think Poole's he's 38. I'm tripping. But then hold on, Jordan Poole. I want to search up his age.
He's like 23, I think. I'm guessing.
Jordan Poole age. Yeah, he's 24. He'd be 25 in June. So this is a 24-year-old season.
He just turned 24.
So like the thing is, I feel like with Jordan Poole, I mean, like Golden State kind of did to themselves, giving him that max contract right after they won the NBA Finals, which I guess is like you painted yourself into a corner. Like the dude helped contribute to a Finals team, and you give him a 5-year extension. And
you also can't predict.
You can't predict getting punched in the face. So I mean, but pretty much, I think like even then, I think he wouldn't have lived up to his potential in Golden State because you still like Steph Curry, like he's aging like wine. Like that dude's probably gonna play to his 40 and he's still putting up 20 points a game, no problem. And then I think it was also them not wanting to move Clay, at least at the time. So there was only so much you were going to be able to do. So like they were going to have to move somebody. So they end up trading Jordan to the Wizards, which I feel like was going to be the best thing for him, at least in terms of of stats wise. If he's more of like that guy, he probably was gonna want to take more shots anyways. Let Golden State extend Draymond Green on a $100 million contract, I think, and then let Jordan Poole go and be a 25-point per game scorer for the Wizards.
You also just couldn't bring him back after last season. You can't predict him getting completely socked in the face at practice right before the season starts.
And then you can't expect him to get over it either.
Yeah, like it felt like there was something that was like very strained there, like relationship-wise. There was a lot of friction, it felt like. And so if you're the Warriors, you're just like, I mean, his 4-year rookie scale extension, like I didn't think it was for about 130 million. I didn't think it was that bad of an extension, but like given where they're also at in the tax, which we know by now Golden State really doesn't care about the tax all that much because of their I guess their core that they have, even though that's a core that you should definitely invest in if you're any professional sports franchise. But Golden State's one of the few who are willing to go above and beyond that. But they had to just get off him at some point. But I find the addition of like, it's not really who they traded, it's who they traded for, Chris Paul. But again, different discussion. We just turned into like turned into the Warriors episode.
Just a little bit, not a whole lot, but I mean, like you can't talk about Jordan Poole and like he hasn't even started his Wizards career yet, so you kind of have to so it makes sense.
Is there any additional thoughts that you have? Anything pressing about this Wizards team that you want to get off your chest before we close it?
Yeah, I would say this. I would say that Kuzma and Poole are going to be a very high scoring duo for a very, very, I'll say, I won't even say underwhelming because people anticipate them to be bad, but just for a very, very bad Wizards team. And I'm saying this as the same guy, and during this video says they're going to win 30 games. That's probably going to be on the backs of those two.
Yeah, that's more than fair. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. Please go check out all of our NBA content, all of our content in general at vendettasportsmedia.com. Please go check out our other NBA season previews on our YouTube page. The NBA season's almost here, man. I'm pumped.
Absolutely.
But thank you all for watching. Have a nice day. Have a nice week. See you guys next time.